The Queen's Orphans was a really great piece. Creating a fictional piece, a historical piece, is always the most daunting because there's so many elements that you have to make sure fit time wise. Not only, the language, dialogue, all of that, but then you have costuming, setting. There's a whole bunch that goes into it. So I really, really want to commend you for taking on that because it is not an easy feat, and you do it really well. I think this is a really interesting story, and I think it's a really interesting perspective that hasn't been told before. So it's really nice to see that within this, not Regency. I I can't, off the top of my head, I cannot think of the term because I know that's not right. But in this setting, it's really interesting to see, and it's done really well. There's a lot of dramatics to it, acted out really well. The pacing was really well. I loved a lot of these different shots, and it all came together to be this really interesting piece. So I hope you get some distribution on it. It's a really cool piece, really fun, and really well done.
All right, I just finished watching The Queen's Orphans, which I thought was a very stylistic and clearly well constructed piece. I think the production design and the costume design in particular really is a standout. Everything, it feels very immersive. The world building on display feels very accurate. It really grounds you in sort of a world that really feels both like a fantasy and both like a hyper realistic construct. I thought a lot of the themes with the church, self identity, being sort of trapped in ideas of who you're supposed to be, how you're supposed to express yourself, really came through in a lot of different ways through the characters on screen. I thought one of the best constructs and themes of the piece revolved around silence, and a lot of the performances weren't just based on sort of the lines delivered, but really how they reflected the mood, the emotions, and sort of the internal turmoil of the characters on screen. I thought it really overlapped with sort of the big picture themes that end up being introduced and explored, especially when you get towards the end of the piece. It was obviously created with a lot of passion and a lot of style, and I thought that ended up coming through, and it ended up creating a piece that, even if it was a little bit on the long side, was very immersive and clearly had a strong intent and focus thematically and performance-wise that really did create an experience that was pretty memorable. So in the end, I ended up enjoying it, and I thought it was a well-designed piece for a general audience, not just for people that were specifically into this type of style. So it was good for me.
The Queen's Orphan starts with this gorgeous, like, watercolor type title sequence, which really tells you that you're in for something visually luscious, which is totally true because the film really captures like the texture of the environment. We can really feel the sun on our faces. We can really feel the mud beneath our feet. And what this texture really does is it adds a lot of depth and weight to the world, so that when the titular orphans arrive, at first, when they're desperately wanting to escape, we really feel their confinement and the way their environment oppresses them. But then as they start to acclimate and they start to develop lives here and they connect to nature and they kind of start liking it here, you really feel the warmth of the sun and the warmth of the whole environment. So that when the Inquisition shows up at the end, it's a very oppressive, like, dark cloud, and you really feel the kind of shivers that sends down your spine. And when the Inquisition starts interrogating everyone, getting them to turn on each other, it's really stomach-churning, really effective in its horror. But also it really complicates empathy as well, because you spend all the time with these characters and you understand why they don't want to be persecuted by the Inquisition. But then obviously when they turn on the orphans and the neighbours and everyone, it's also horrible. So it captures that complexity really well. So ultimately, I think what the film does really interestingly is use its environment to really convey the emotional arc of the whole film and that descent into really horror really well.
Hey, I'm commenting on the feature, The Queen's Orphans. I think the first thing that I want to talk about is just what a world you have created here. Just the production design, the costuming, the set design, just everything here is building this world that puts me in mind of like the movie Pan's Labyrinth a little bit. I think it's just really, really impressive, and it feels very immersive, and You did a really, really fantastic job in bringing this world to life. I also thought that the story was really moving and really well handled. Right now, for me, I think there are only two real detractors. Number one, I think that the score is a little bit overly present sometimes. And I think that for me, this project would really benefit from a less is more approach there. So just, consider maybe pulling back on some of the more involved score moments. The other thing for me is that it's just too long in its current version. If you could find a way to cut this down and get it closer to 90 to 100 minutes, I think that it would really sing, and I think that it would be working on an even better level than it is currently. But minor quibbles. Really, really fantastic job on this. Very nice work.
So it's a very good job on this. It's very impressive that you undertook a period piece like this, and such a challenging, windy story. It was so much, so much with the politics of the time and just the customs of the time, and everything looked great. The production, the costuming, the sets, everything looked really good. The actors all did a great job, and it was really well written and well directed. Like I said, it's just like being able to take in that time and really, show the way things were. It was difficult seeing, the mistreatment and the disparity in gender roles there. So it was good that these kind of stories being made, that this kind of memory is being kept around, chronicling this time, because we need to know, we need to see these things, and we need to learn. So great job with this. I hope it does well for you. I hope it gets out there and gets seen.
The Queen's Orphans. That was heavy. That was very, very heavy. So right off the back, as you see, that film did not hold any punches. It deals with some very heavy and very serious topics. It's very important, but they're very strong. They can be potentially triggering, but it deals with it does not hold back with the topics it discusses. Sexual assault, religious persecution, child killings. Like it's a lot of things. So it's a very dark but serious film, and I do also want to note that I did like the medieval setting. I love medieval aesthetics, and one of the things that happened in the beginning and the end of the film that I wanted to make note of is just the visual effects. It was very trippy. Just the best way I can explain it is kind of like the visuals felt like drug-induced. Like a hallucination that shouldn't be there, and it kind of like fades in, fades out. It was a very surreal thing to look at, but this is definitely the kind of film that is definitely going to stay with you for a hot minute. Just mulling over everything that happened. It's definitely a film that's going to stick with you. Yeah. But it was very good. It was very good.